Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's class. So, for this class, we'll be taking square root and cube root of numbers. Square root and cube root of numbers. So, let's see what we have. Before we jump into square root and cube root, let's look at perfect squares and perfect cubes. So, a perfect square is a product of two identical numbers. Perfect square is a product of two identical numbers. Remember, product is the result of multiplication. So what we are saying here is that if we have 2 times 2, and the result is what? 4. If we have 3 times 3, the result is what? 9. If we have 6 times 6, the result is what? 36. So the product of two identical numbers gives us what we call perfect squares. So these four, the 9, 36 are what we call perfect squares. I take it again. 4, 9, 36 are what we call perfect squares, and all others. So the what you were given in the activity, the squares that you were given, that we saw in the first class of these indices, are the numbers we call perfect squares. Okay, so because that's where the idea of square roots come from. So the idea of square root comes from there, knowing that okay, 1 times 1 equals to 1. So that means the square root of 1 is equal to 1. Let's use 2. So we also have that 2 times 2 is equals to 4. And then the square root of, please see the symbol of square root, is not the same as division. We did division. This is division symbol, and then this is square root. Take note, please. This is division, this is square root. So we are this one we are using now. Take note of that, please. Okay. So So let's see. So 2 times 2 is equal to 4, meaning that the square root of 4 will give us what? 2. And then 9 times 9 is equal to 81. And then the square root of 81 is equal to what? 9. So take note, it is from the perfect squares that we will now have what? Square root. So perfect squares really works for the whole numbers. It's used for whole numbers. Take note, perfect squares is used for the whole numbers. So take note of that. This is square root of 4. Okay, so we have what we call perfect squares now, and then we have what we call square root. So if you look at this, square root is just like division. Just like division. Division is the opposite of multiplication. And then square root, on the other hand, is the opposite of what? Squares. Is the opposite of what? Squares. So you see 9 times 9 will give us 81. That is 9 square. So we are looking at 9 square equals to 81. And then you now take the square root of 81. That will give us what? 9. So it's the opposite of what? The opposite of squares. Square root is the opposite of what? Squares. Okay, so let's see. Perfect cube. Perfect cube is the product of three identical numbers. So the cubes that you had, that we talked about when we were dealing with the first part of indices, the first video under indices, those cubes are what we call the perfect cubes. So we have 2 cube, which is equals to 2 times 2 times 2. That will give us what? 8. So this 8 is what we call a perfect cube. And then if you are taking it back, you have what we call cube root. How do we take cube root? Please look at this. You draw a square root sign, but since it's cube, we'll put something here. Please see where it is being written. Cube root of 8. Now, there is difference between cube root. This is cube root, and then you doing this. These are different things. These are different things entirely. This one is cube root. This one means three times square root. This one is cube root, while this one is three square root. This is cube root. This one is three square root. So they are different things entirely. Okay. So then the cube root of 8 will now give us what? Will give us 2. So you can see that cube root is the opposite of cube. Cube root is the opposite of what? Cube. Take note of that. Okay, so that's what we can see in perfect cube and cube root. So you can find cube root of numbers. Once you know the cube root is just the opposite. Please learn how to use the signs, the symbols of cube and cube root properly. Okay, so let's proceed. Simplify the following. So let's see how we can bring in square root and cube root to solve some questions. Square root of 9 over 16. Square root of 9 over 16. Excuse me. So that is, this is a fraction. We have a fraction. So we just need to take the square root of the numerator and also take the square root of the denominator. So square root of 9 is equal to what? 3. And then square root of 16 is equal to what? 4. And that is what we are looking for. So this becomes our answer. Move to number 2. Square root of one whole number 7 over 9. So that's a mixed fraction. I told you in mathematics, most times when you are dealing with mixed, when you are trying to solve using some mixed fractions, you change the fractions to improper fraction first. So this is one whole number 7 all over 9. So the first thing we have to do is not the solving. The first thing we have to do is to change the fraction from mixed fraction to improper fraction. And our square root sign will still be there. So 9 times 1, 9 plus 7, that will give us 16 all over 9. And what would that give us? 16 all over 9. So square root of 16. This is where we take out the square root sign. Square root of 16 will be 4 all over square root of 9. That will give us what? 3. This fraction is an improper fraction. So we can keep it as a mixed fraction. That would be one whole number, 1 all over 3. Okay. Number 3. Square root of 1.44. Square root of 1.44. Now, the square root we've talked about, you see that all the square roots, they are whole numbers. The perfect squares we have, they are all whole numbers. So what do we do? Now, what we can do here is to change this decimal to a decimal fraction. Remember, we are not working with calculators. At this level, we don't even know what a calculator is. So everything we do, we have to do it from our brains. So you have to reduce mathematics to a level that you can work with without the use of calculator. So what we do here is to change this decimal number to a decimal fraction. Please always feel free to go back to videos. Maybe you've forgotten some things. Always feel free to go back to videos and then that talks about a particular topic you are looking for. So if we change 1.44, that will give us 144 all over 100. Still inside our square root. We have not found the square root yet. We are just changing the decimal number to a decimal fraction, and we are yet to solve for the square root, which we are doing now. So that will give us square root of 144. That will be 12 all over square root of 100. That will give us 10. So if we reduce this will give us 6 all over 5, making it one whole number 1 over 5. Okay. Number four says the cube root. This is cube root of 0.001. cube root of 0.001, cube root of 0.001. This will be equal to what? It's the same thing. We need to change this decimal number to a decimal fraction. So that will give us, but we will still be using our cube root 0.001 will be 1 all over 1000, and then the cube root of 1 is 1 all over the cube root of 10 or of 1000 will give us 10, and this become our answer, which we can also take it back to a decimal being 0.1. Okay, and that brings us to the end of our example. So we have activity here to find the square root of the following. Please pause the video and copy out the questions and carefully go through them. Thank you very much. Okay, we have two sets of questions. We have two sets of questions. We have the square root and the cube root. Please do well to pause the video, copy out the question, and carefully attempt all of them. Square root and the cube root. Thank you very much. Do well to like, to subscribe, and also share to others. See you in our next class.